Welcome everyone to another episode of Game of Thrones when it's coming. Today we are taking a look at how things are working currently in the second week of Glorious Battle. We had in the last video the first week, what happened in the starting phase and so on. And in this particular video you will see some stuff that's happening regarding battles and how it works, and also in general for the progress. If you look at the world progress series, you can see here the next quest ends in basically 2 days. After that we will have the next quest opened, which will also, once it's finished, allow the declaration of the inner cities, which are of course still bubbled up, as you can see here. And then in the end we'll see how it happens. It should open up basically the rest of the map. You can see on the difficulty, the center city gives 3000 influence, but has level 5 troops, has 1000 waves of them, so fairly strong to keep in mind as well. And the cities all around has also level 4 troops inside, and 1000 waves, so it's something you should keep in mind, of course. So as you can see right now on our map, we have been fighting and are still fighting against the northern faction, Frost faction, which has some Russian alliance in it, and we also had a small brawl against the Scarlet faction, which has GCM in it. But currently we are on somewhat peaceful terms. We are just focusing on battling against the north, I suppose, to try and get some control of that area there. Potentially looking at how things will work out, I don't know. If GCM or the Scarlet faction decides to attack us, we'll have to deal with it as well. We basically have 3 factions that are kind of out of the game, that doesn't do anything. Justice faction, I believe, Lord's Bane, and Tempest, not really doing anything. They are doing small things. So the Purple faction has basically had a free roam at their section over here, and the Pink faction, as you can see, is also basically having free roam here, taking stuff without much effort. So it's going to be interesting. Currently the level 4 forts are keeping us all separated, more or less. So it's going to be interesting to see once someone starts breaking them down, what's going to happen, if someone can break them down, of course. Yeah. Currently we have an NPC battle going on. You can see here, fairly simple, number of troops or waves, 800, and you can see that all the waves are basically same troop power. The difficulty with these waves is that they keep changing formations and what types of troops are inside, which means that you can run into certain counters randomly, and those start hitting pretty hard, especially if your resilience is down to 0. I can try and see if I can find a report with resilience in. Let's see here, statistics, I believe. No, it's battle record, details. You can see, yeah, troops resilience for the battle is 73, final damage dealt 81% of the original, final damage taken is 127% of the original, and the same for the opponent's side. So keep in mind, once the resilience is there, how it works and what happens, and it affects the battle greatly, so definitely keep an eye on it. And if I can actually click on it, you can see here, once you get in, you can basically you start killing off the waves, and once it gets down to 0, you'll fill up a bar, and then if you can do it within the hour, you will take over the point. If you can't do it within the hour, then if you can't kill all the waves won't reset, they will stay at the number that basically is left inside. And if you have killed everything but didn't fill up the bar in time, then you have to declare war on it once more, and you can go directly in and start filling up the bar from the start. So I'm going to show you a little bit once the PvP sections going to start. We have declared war here, which is in roughly 30 minutes, and Frost faction has declared war against us in roughly 40-ish minutes. So I'll show you what happens during the PvP parts. Currently going to show you fast what happens once you have knocked out all the NPC waves. You can see on the side now that all the NPC waves are going out, and there is a bar at the top which is filling up slowly, and you can also see like the time in-game server time, and that you have basically until the war declaration runs out and you have to restart it basically. The seconds in here is basically what's getting, or the points in here is what's getting added to the bar every second, and the amount of points you get depends on the amount of people you have inside the building. I believe it's 10 for every person or something like that. So keep that in mind when you do it. You might be like someone that's super strong and can do the killing by himself, but he most likely can't take the building by himself. I would probably say you will need, depending on how fast you can clear the building, you'll probably need 30-40 people inside the building to capture it within a decent amount of time. But yeah, this was just to show you fast how it looks like once you have emptied out an NPC building and you're about to capture it. So we have now gone through a little bit about how the NPC battles work, so now we are going to show you what happens when you attack an enemy player. Basically for now, as you can see, our side declared war against the Frostgate, and they basically had 10 hours to reinforce the castle. You can see here that they have NPC troops inside. They have some PvP after, can't remember if it's 15 or 20 or something like that waves. The NPC waves are done, and then real players will be inside, and then it will be like basically a little bit mixed between NPC and players because they've built the NPC troops extra inside, and then it will switch over to only be players inside holding the point. So it's not something that's extremely special or anything like that, but it's something that's useful to know. And you basically can see that there's a bar already at the top. It has same kind of system as when you go in against NPCs, except in PvP they can constantly fill up the wave. So once you get it down to 0, the bar will start filling up towards your part as long as you keep troops inside. So it's going to be a similar thing to a Thug of War, where you constantly fight from both sides to try and keep control of the point. And if the attacking side manages to fill up the bar, then the war basically ends. If the defending side can keep the defense up for 1 hour, I believe that the point will then stay in the defensive side. So all you have to do basically is try and keep up so that you will basically defend the point, and that you can basically keep control of the map that way, and basically try and rush through things. And yeah, as I said, we are offensive right now, and I believe the first armies will be coming in soon. And once they do, then you can basically see how it works like. And yeah, like I said, defensive part can keep up defense the entire time and throw in troops, and as long as you don't reach 0, the bar won't fill up and you're basically guaranteed the structure. But you have to do it for an entire hour, so it can get costly in the long run, and you can also run out of marching bugles, so keep that in mind. But that's how it will be, at least for now. And you can see like now the NPCs are getting hit out, and once you reach a certain point, then you will also start seeing that the players will get knocked out. So that's kind of how it works like when you're going an offensive part PvP, and soon we will show what happens when you're in the defensive part instead. Now we can take an update to how things look like. You can see here our attack position. The bar is almost full, so we should be able to get control of this specific point in a moment. and at the same time we are defending this point, and for some reason they are not attacking as much as we had expected. We can see there are a few armies marching towards it, but it's nothing extreme. So I don't know, I had hoped for a bit more, so I could have shown in the video, but basically you can see here for the defense things are somewhat similar. Have NPC, have some people that are defending it generally, and yeah, the enemy side will come here, it'll be a fight, and as long as we keep our side basically filled up, the bar won't get moving, and we basically keep control of the point. And that's kind of like how the PvP works, but we can take things on paper as well and look at some of the things that you should know or should be careful about, general things and so on. So going to be right back. Now we're going to take a look at some of the stuff from week 2 that I noticed, and what you should know basically. Generally we're going to take a look at the entire PvP, defending versus attacking, and then we're also going to take a look at general information fast. So defending versus attacking. War declaration takes 10 hours. As an attacker you have to wait 10 hours. As a defender you can always march at the start, which means that the defenders can basically go in, send in their troops 10 hours before they can attack, while attackers have to declare 10 hours before they actually want to attack, which makes attacking a little bit more difficult. You have to time it well, and you have to basically plan 10 hours ahead before you can do it because of how the system works right now. Attackers will then have, after the 10 hours has passed, will have 1 hour to fight for the position and try and gain control of it. For the attackers to win, they need to fill up the bar at the top, which shows after getting rid of all defending waves. And I showed you also the same thing earlier in the PvP part aspects, how there's a bar at the top which slowly fills up once you have basically knocked out all the defending waves. So to have that filled up, and it's the same mechanics as with the NPC basically, but it's much more difficult when it's PvP usually, because people keep sending in reinforcements. For each battle 1, the resilience will drop further down, and I also showed you a little bit about how the resilience works in terms of you taking less damage and dealing more damage. So having high resilience is really great, but for each battle that you win, your resilience will drop further down, and that's basically means that if there's fillers in the enemy side, then these fillers, even if it's only one troop, will keep dropping your resilience until it's down to 0, and then you might end up going against enemy whale or a strong player from the opposing sides, which will just take you down and destroy your army. So it's a way to kind of plan it around. You can put in fillers if you want to, but it's really difficult to time it around to hitting the actual whale, so keep that in mind as well. And then of course lastly, from my point of view, it's easier to defend than it is to attack. The main reason for that is that defenders can basically use the 10 hours to send in defenses. So people that might not be able to be present for the attacking time, they can basically send in defensive marches already before, go to sleep, go to work, or do what they have to do basically, while the rest of the people that can actually be present can keep sending in defensive waves during the attack, and make it more difficult for the attacking forces to actually get through in that 1 hour to actually take the building. And for that reason, it's going to be a difficulty in terms of balancing, because from a defensive point you will always have the advantage regarding that, in my opinion. Also because as a defensive army, if the enemy army declares a war, it will take 10 hours for them to actually start being able to attack the point. And if you have a war bugle saved up and so on, you can basically attack maybe several NPCs, buildings, get some stats in, and get that advantage that way during those 10 hours. So for me personally, I would say it's easier to defend than it is to attack, but generally it's super expensive in terms of resources, speed ups, building troops and so on. I hope there will be some balancing in that regard, because right now I've probably used over 200-300 days of speed ups to actually heal troops and building troops and so on, and I've used billions in terms of resources, and the map that we are on, our faction is on, it's not the big boy map. It's probably a mid-tier map with some lower tier factions, but generally mid-tier factions with 1 or 2 strong alliances in each faction, like having to carry that faction. But I've seen from the big boy factions that battles are really expensive, and I'm surprised at how difficult it is, because for 28 days having to run through speed ups for 28 days like this, I would basically have to save up for probably half a year to be able to like sustain myself for 28 days if it kept like on being like this heavy PvP aspect. But that's kind of like a general information regarding the PvP aspect. Now this is just going to be like some general information overall from what I've noticed. Switching talents can be done all the time for 1k blue diamonds. Keep that in mind, and whenever you switch military position, switch your talent as well around. It helps you a lot. Some talents are basically just locked for your military position, so if you go offensive but have talents in your logistics or in defensive, then those talents will not apply in an offensive aspect. They will only apply if you're in logistics or if you're defending a building, for example. Switching military positions can be done once every 24 hours, which means that there is a 24-hour cooldown. I hope that once this game mode will be released for real, will be out of testing, they will decrease the switching to 12 hours or 8 hours, because I feel like 24 hours is a bit too long and it's really difficult to match out things and cap out your daily points, especially early on, because you might attack a building but you only get 100 points from it, and the marching production is not super high either, and overall find ways to, like, I personally hope they will decrease the switching around cooldown so that it's possible to make it more dynamic and for people not to having to lock themselves to a specific military position to actually max out their daily points. Marching reduces your resilience, so be careful that you go too close, that you're not too close to enemy factions when you're attacking, because that will give them an advantage over you in terms of resilience power. How the entire resilience works regarding marching, I'm not sure if it's based on distance or if it's based on time. Either way, there are some talents that you can use to reduce it, so I would highly recommend to look at that. But obviously after 15-20 waves you might not have any resilience left either way, so take it with a grain of salt, but keep that in mind when you're attacking something, that you are not too far away from your own faction compared to an enemy faction, because that will make the battle much more difficult for you. You can declare war on multiple points at the same time. There might be a cooldown on declaring war between the points, but you can basically pick one faction and declare war on 3 different points they have. Just not, I believe there's a cooldown between them, either 10, 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. We have seen it happen to us, that we've been declared war on 3 or 4 different positions at the same time, or buildings, but how it works, I don't know, but it looked like there was a cooldown based on how they declared war on us. Army size increase does not work in Glorious Battle. It's the same issue as this with the Siege of Winterfell, so keep that in mind as well. And both losses and kills give you tokens for the shop, so that means that even if you're not a super strong PvP player, you still get something out of it. You're still able to get the pages for your Season 2 album if you're interested in that, or you're able to get honor banners, which can be really difficult for free-to-play players to get. So having access to that extra amount of glory honor banners for glory buildings is really great. But generally this was like an overall overview on how this entire system works. A little bit different setup this time around, but I wanted to show you the PvP first and then go into the details afterwards, so keep that in mind as well. But like the video if you want, subscribe to the channel, it always helps us out, of course. And comment down below if there's something specific you want me to take a look at, if there's something you want me to investigate, that you're curious about. Have a question or so, you're free to ask as well. I will try and answer you, of course. If you're new to the channel and want to play the game, the link is going to be in the description down below. And so is the links for the music that I'm using and for the Discord group, in case you want to have some support regarding some issues you have in the game, or just want to find out more information about the game. So this is going to be all for me from this time around. Good luck with Glorious Battle and other events. I'll probably make a video soon again, and then next week we'll take a look at what happened during week 3. So have fun, take care, bye bye.